Where do you get the money to do that? Do you still go forward with those plans and borrow?
Well, but we're going to have to raise corporate taxes, and we're going to have to raise.
I was pretty impressive that we were able to bring down inflation without bringing unemployment up that much. Like, the job market is still relatively strong, even though we brought down unemployment from 9% back down to 2%. We just got rate cuts again. Yeah, you should hammer him down on the tariffs.
But it's not just affording a home. We don't have enough in this country.
You're absolutely right.
True,
and one of the main problems
DMBism,
are regulations and rules, strict rules at a local level. How does the federal government cut through all that red tape and get down to, the suburbs of Pittsburgh and say, we're going to have to build some affordable housing?
Oh, she better have a good answer on this, please.
You just laid out your economic vision for the future. But still, there are lots of Americans who don't see themselves in your plans. For those who say these policies aren't for me, what do you say to them?
Well, if you are hardworking, if you have the dreams and the ambitions and the aspirations of what I believe you do, you're in my plan. I have to tell you, I really love and am so energized by what I know to be the spirit and character of the American people. We have ambition, we have aspirations, we have dreams. We can see what's possible. We have an incredible work ethic, but not...
Okay, I don't... Why wouldn't she just cite, like, oh, I want to give money to everyone with children. I want to give money to first-time home buyer. Why wouldn't she just cite, like, everyone her plan would include? I don't know anyone who would be like, this plan isn't for me. She wants to just say the earned income tax credit. You get everyone gets money with the earned income tax credit. Well, not everyone making under $40,000 a year or whatever, but
not everyone has the access to the opportunities that allow them to achieve those things. But we don't lack for those things. But not everyone, gets handed stuff on a silver platter. And so my vision for the economy, I call it an opportunity economy, is about making sure that all Americans, wherever they start, wherever they are, have the ability to actually achieve those dreams and those ambitions, which include for middle-class families, just being able to know that their hard work allows them to get ahead, right? I think we can't and we shouldn't aspire to have an economy that just allows people to get by. People want to do more than just get by. They want to get ahead. And I come from the middle class. Look, my mother raised my sister and me. She worked hard. She saved up. By the time I was a teenager, she was able to buy our first home. And home ownership for too many people in our country now is elusive.
I feel like she was going in the right direction until she brought up the I am from the middle class line again. Oh, the erectile dysfunction is back. Oh.
If gone is the day of everyone thinking they could actually live the American dream. So part of my vision for the economy is let's deal with some of the everyday challenges that people face and address them with common sense solutions, such as
the right direction.
Affordable housing.
Okay, well, ended it on a good note.
Over the last 4 years, there have been tremendous economic wins, and you just laid out a big plan. But still, polling shows that most likely voters still think Donald Trump is better to handle the economy. Why do you think that is?
Tariffs, tariffs. Hammer it down, please.
Donald Trump left us with the worst economy since the Great Depression when you look at, for example, the employment numbers.
It was during COVID, and employment was so high because we shut down the government, we shut down the country.
Even before the
But you're
pandemic,
better for jobs.
He lost manufacturing jobs by...
Yes, correct. Yes, thank you.
Most people's estimates at least 200,000. He lost manufacturing plants. Ask the auto workers how he lost auto plants. We have grown over 20 new auto plants.
You just mentioned, one, even accounting for COVID, Biden has better job numbers, and two, people don't understand the trade-off between these things, but I think it's like pretty impressive that we were able to, well, I don't know how impressive it was really, but I was always on team transitory, but I was pretty impressive that we were able to bring down inflation without bringing unemployment up that much. Like, the job market is still relatively strong, even though we brought down unemployment from 9% back down to 2%. We just got rate cuts again. Yeah, you should hammer him down on the tariffs, and you should hammer him down on the...
He has an agenda. Let's just deal with
on the jobs
now
numbers
going forward,
that you're
not to mention
better
what happened in the past. He has an agenda that would include making it more difficult for workers to earn overtime, an agenda that would include cutting off access to small business loans for small businesses, an agenda that includes tariffs to the point that the average working person will spend 20% more on everyday necessities, and an estimated $4,000.
So sad, especially since I had just got done watching her speak at some kind of economic event. She did very well during the speech.
More a year on those everyday necessities, to the point that top economists in our country, from Nobel laureates to people at Moody's and Goldman Sachs, have compared my plan with his and said my plan would grow the economy, his would shrink the economy. Some of them have actually assessed that his plan would increase inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year. So the facts remain that Donald Trump has a history of taking care of very rich people. And I'm not mad at anybody for being rich, but they should pay their fair share. But tax cuts for the billionaires and the top corporations in our country. And then
Trump's economy and foreign policy
to middle class families. My perspective
managed to find the worst
is when you
criticism
grow
of
the
it.
middle class, America's economy is stronger.
I feel like usually Trump, I feel like usually people think Trump is a lot better in foreign policy just because of his fucking, just because you can do no new wars. Russia didn't invade. Israel was at peace. Abraham Accords.
And there's empirical evidence
What's up,
to prove my
Zachary?
point correct.
Then let me ask you about taxes, because lots of people
I feel like that answer is
will say, I
fine.
don't like Donald Trump, but he cut my taxes. He didn't just cut corporate taxes, he cut individual taxes. Now that expires next year, and there are some people confused saying, I don't know what's going to happen next year. Under a Harris administration, at what income level should someone expect their taxes to go up? And that state and local tax deduction that's currently capped and matters to a lot of people in blue states, are you going to lift that cap?
So first of all, when it relates to anybody making less than $400,000 a year, your taxes will not go up. Your taxes will not go up. And in fact, under my plan, taxes for 100 million Americans will actually be cut, including $6,000 a year for young couples for the first year of their child's life, and a tax credit, essentially, by expansion of the child tax credit. And why is that? Because during the first year of a young couple, of a person's child's life, they're going to need help buying a crib, buying a car seat. And we all benefit when they're actually able to do what they naturally want to do to take care of their child.
And expanding that child tax credit, or you mentioned housing before, giving that extra money for a first home. If you can't raise corporate taxes, or if GOP takes control of the Senate, where do you get the money to do that? Do you still go forward with those plans and borrow?
Well, but we're going to have to raise corporate taxes. And we're going to have to make sure that the biggest corporations and billionaires pay their fair share. That's just it. It's about paying their fair share. I am not mad at anyone for achieving success, but everyone should pay their fair share. And it is not right that the teachers and the firefighters that I meet every day across our country are paying a higher tax than the richest people in our country.
Bill Gates just said it this week. If he was in charge of taxes, he would have paid more. But how do you find that line to make sure corporations are paying their fair share, but they're not leaving our country?
Well, listen.
Yeah, that was a horrible answer. You know, Biden actually has a pretty strong record on bipartisan legislation. She could have brought that up, but instead she just said, well, we have to.
I work with a lot of CEOs. I have spent a lot of time with CEOs, and I'm going to tell you that the business leaders who are actually part of the engine of America's economy agree that people should pay their fair share.
I've seen her be good at speaking when, like, she has a script.
Also agree that when we look at a plan such as mine that is about investing in the middle class, investing in new industries, investing in bringing down costs, invest in entrepreneurs like small businesses.
Wasn't capping the maximum price of marriage celebrations. You know what? I'm in favor of it. I saw that there was a Netflix show called Marriage or Mortgage, where people had to decide between an expensive wedding or a mortgage. The amount of people who spent so much money on their wedding but they couldn't afford a mortgage was really something. So, you know what? I'm in favor of it.
Stronger, and everyone benefits. Part of my plan for the economy is investing in new industries in a way that we have active partnership with the private sector. I've worked with the private sector my entire career. Even as vice president, working with some of the biggest banks and biggest tech companies to increase by billions of dollars the money going into community banks to increase access to capital for small businesses. Why do those biggest corporations and CEOs do that? Because they know those kinds of investments, like in our small businesses, in startups and entrepreneurs, actually strengthens America's economy overall, and everyone benefits. So this is not about bilking anybody, but it is certainly about saying, let's make sure that we create opportunities for everyone to grow wealth. I believe that it is not sufficient, and it should not be our goal to just make sure everyone is working. That should be the baseline. That should be a given. And let's create an economy where people have the ability to buy a home, to start a business, to take a nice vacation from time to time, right?
For people who want to buy a home, yes, getting a $25,000 kicker would be great. But it's not just affording a home. We don't have enough in this country.
You're absolutely right.
True,
and one of the main problems
are
regulations and rules, strict rules at a local level. How does the federal government cut through all that red tape and get down to, the suburbs of Pittsburgh and say, we're going to have to build some affordable housing here.
Oh, she better have a good answer on this, please.
So you're absolutely right. So across our country, people rightly are concerned about the cost of housing. So it's home ownership, to your point. We need more supply. That is, without any question, part of the solution. Creating more supply under my plan includes creating tax incentives to work with the private sector and home builders. Part of my goal and the plan would be to create 3 million new housing units for rent and for ownership by the end of my first term.
Okay.
It includes also what we must do to cut red tape. You're absolutely right. It takes far too long and there's too much bureaucracy associated with home building. And I say that
What's
as a
up,
devout
Frankie
public
Bear,
servant.
baby? Welcome
I
to the
know
stream.
that we have to reduce the red tape and speed up what we need to do around building.
Okay, well, she asked how.
That is going to require working from the federal level with state and local governments. And it's going to be different in different places, depending on the needs of that community, the needs of that local government, that municipality, but working in consultation. And
President Kamala, the entire time, he was like, who prepared this who prepared her for this interview? This isn't Kamala, I know. I feel like there's actually, she could point to Biden's record here. Biden actually did, well, the Biden-Harris administration, if she's going to take credit for it, actually did a fair number of stuff to literally do this exact thing, where they used the federal government in order to make local and state governments reduce the red tape for housing construction. Department of Housing and Urban Development is announcing the availability of $100 million to communities to identify and remove barriers to affordable housing production and preservation. The Department of Treasury and HUD, the Housing and Urban Development, are announcing a major improvement to the federal financing bank multifamily risk sharing program that will provide greater interest rate predictability for state and local federal or finance agencies, housing finance agencies. Transportation Infrastructure and Finance Innovation Act and Railroad Rehabilitation Improvement Financing loans are being used for conversion products, may be eligible for a categorical exclusion under NEPA. The Advisory Council on there's a list of things here that they did to do this exact thing. The Council of Economic Advisors analyzed the importance of state and local governments actions to permit and approve new developments more quickly, including examples from HUD's pro-housing grants,
coordination and also around incentives that we can create. For example, some of the work is going to be through what we do in terms of giving benefits and assistance to state and local governments around transit dollars and looking
she mentioned it. Thank you.
At the connection between
thoughts on I don't, those are a bunch of nonsense words.
At the incentives we in the federal government can create for local and state governments to actually engage in planning in a holistic manner that includes prioritizing affordable housing for working people.
Then let me ask you a business that matters a lot to this town.
Yeah.
U.S. Steel.
Yes.
Right? When you think Pennsylvania, when you think Pittsburgh, you got the Liberty Bell in Philly, and you got U.S. Steel in Pittsburgh.
That's right.
A Japanese company wants to buy them. You are opposed to this idea. Many people are. But if the deal doesn't go through, they have said people could lose jobs. They could close mills. They could leave the state of Pennsylvania. I mean, that is like moving the Liberty Bell to Newark. So which is more important?
It's most important that we maintain America's ability to have American manufacturing of steel by American workers for a number of reasons, which includes, again, back to the point of growing our economy and how I think about the economy overall, investing in new industries. There is not a new industry that I can imagine.
Don't know if I've heard of things that as prosecutor really makes me hesitant.
That is not.
What about it? I don't know. I think there's two bad things as a prosecutor she did, but I don't think those are. I don't know. I don't think they're really that disqualifying compared to anything Donald Trump has done.
Going to require steel manufacturing of steel as a fundamental part of what it accomplishes, and having American workers in an American company manufacturing that steel for those new industries is going to be critically important, not only in terms of our economy, but also in the context of national security. Most people now realize if we didn't before the pandemic and the strain on supply chains and an over-reliance on foreign manufacturing, that we have to be intentional about U.S.-based manufacturing. And of the products that we have to prioritize, steel is one of them. And that's always going to be my priority.
Steelworkers matter in this country. Unions matter.
Yes.
In 2016, Donald Trump connected with unions. He saw them. There was an emotional connection. But what he didn't do was deliver policy. In the last 4 years, we have seen huge wins in this country for unions, but not all unions have gotten behind you. I want to understand, when the Teamsters decided not to endorse you, what was their reasoning? What are they looking for?
Well, let me go back to our just previous conversation. I'm very proud to have the endorsement of the steelworkers and almost every other major union in America, because I stand by workers and I stand by the...
I missed a question even.
Teamsters decided not to endorse you. What was their reasoning? What are they looking for?
Well, let me go back to our just previous conversation. I'm very proud to have the endorsement of the steelworkers and almost every other major union in America, because I stand by workers and I stand by the importance of being able to join a union and to understand the benefit and the value of unions. And I understand the importance of investing in new industries and working actively with the private sector to grow our economy.
But I'm asking because there's this idea we want something more from her. What is it?
Well, here's the thing, that back to your point about previous election cycles, Donald Trump made a whole lot of promises that he did not meet, and one would argue broke. Look at Lordstown. He said he was going to...
Don't sell your homes.
Yeah, don't sell your homes. And what happened? It shut down. Outsourcing under Donald Trump. His policies that are about putting, tens to hundreds of % tariffs.
John Deere.
Yes. Yes. So part of the challenge, and I don't disagree that it's a challenge, got to earn the vote of everybody, is reminding people of fact. Regardless of what somebody says in a small rally somewhere. And I think that's really important. And that's part of what I'm doing in this campaign, is to remind people, just like here in Pittsburgh, of the reality of who has stood with union labor, who stands for American manufacturing, who stands for American jobs.
Can I ask you about tariffs? Because you just mentioned it. It's not just with one company. Donald Trump's sort of big idea.
I mean, she could have actually answered the question there. I don't actually know really why Teamsters didn't endorse anyone. I don't know the actual reason behind it, but
is this broad-based tariffs across the board. You and many others have said that would be...
Can't send links? Really? You should be able to. I don't know.
Not only disastrous...
Go to join the Discord and send it there, or go to Twitch chat, or go to YouTube chat.
Tax on the American consumer.
It would be a sales tax on the American...
Or just tell me something in Google.
The independent economists have already measured this by the sales tax of doing a 20% tariffs on all imports that he has described would be a 20% sales tax, in essence, on basic necessities for the average American worker, average American
Exclamation
family,
point, Discord in the chat.
Almost $4,000 a year. That is no small matter. Here in Pittsburgh, when I'm talking to a group of folks who work here, who live here, and when they hear it might be $4,000 more a year for them, look, people can't afford that.
But tariffs aren't unique to President Trump. President Biden has tariffs in place. He's actually looking to potentially implement more. Where do you come out on? Is there a good tariff, a bad tariff?
Well, part of it is you don't just throw around the idea of just tariffs across the board, and that's part of the problem with Donald Trump.
All right,
frankly,
okay.
And I say this in all sincerity, he's just not very serious about how he thinks about some of these issues.
True.
And we must be serious and have a plan, and a real plan that's not just about some talking point ending in an exclamation at a political rally, but actually putting the thought into what will be the return on the investment, what will be the economic impact on everyday people. And when you look at my plans, you will see what those benefits will be. $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. You know what that means? Then you're creating the ability of that working person to build intergenerational wealth. Doing the work of a $6,000 child tax credit.
Your rule page, man? What's wrong with my rules page? What's the issue?
Doing the work of a $50,000 tax deduction for first-time small businesses, startups, because right now...
That's a real plan.
It's a real plan, because right now...
Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream, Beepo Reno 24. I'm assuming new day, new account for you,
attention to the detail and being serious about it. I'm serious about my enthusiasm and for small businesses and my belief in what they will do as part of America's economic engine.
On Friday... sorry.
So looking at the fact that right now the tax deduction is $5,000, nobody in this year of our...
I feel like at first your answer is pretty good to this, actually.
For 2024, and start a small business with $5,000. Very few can. So extending
saying, Donald Trump isn't very serious about how he, you don't just throw around tariffs and everything. Donald Trump just isn't serious about how he thinks about these things. I feel like that was an actual
tax deduction for startups.
Good answer.
To generate the innovation and the ambition of the ideas that are present and among us, but need the fuel to be able to actually achieve the goal.
His plan is not serious when you lay it out like that. But a serious problem over the last few years has been inflation. Luckily, it's cooling, but prices are still high.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You've said you want to take this on by going after those who engage in price gouging.
Yeah.
But as somebody who supports free markets, who's a capitalist, how do you go after price gouging?
I will after this.
Without implementing price controls. Because once we get in the zone, people start to get worried and they say, I don't know what she stands for.
So just to be very frank, I am never going to apologize for going after companies and corporations that take advantage of the desperation of the American people. And as Attorney General, I saw this happen. In the midst of an emergency, whether it be an extreme weather event or even the pandemic, we saw it, where those few companies, not the majority, not most, but those few companies that would take advantage of the desperation of people and jack up prices. Yeah. I'm going to go after them.
I mean, well,
I'm going to go after them. And that is part of
it kind of is, but also like her, I don't think she ever really meant to call for strict price control. She like, it's just kind of got misinterpreted by a lot of people. But.
Much more comprehensive plan on what we can do to bring down the cost of living, including housing, including the everyday needs of the American people.
On Friday, you are going to the border. Immigration is complicated. One of the issues is an economic.
I don't really unbiased. Both are giving you what you want to hear. Price gouging will hurt small businesses. To be honest, the only thing price gouging will hurt small businesses. The only thing will be open to big stores like Walmart and Giant Eagle. I'm pretty sure really all Kamala Harris wanted to do. Why is it called free market when everything is so expensive? She clarified, this is what it was. She clarified it's not like a bill that she, it's not a price control bill. She just didn't like antitrust. After all the trees and British Harris did not affect proposed price controls, grocery is kind of vaguely antitrust enforcement, which is good. There's some silliness in the speech, but the comments and price are more toned down in her campaign fact sheet sent to reporters. A generic call to increase antitrust enforcement, which is fine. I support it. I think she sent out like a press release saying it's not in support of a bill. It's not in support of a bill that Elizabeth Warren proposed in 2022. That was like an anti-price gouging act, which was during COVID. I think it's really just for antitrust stuff. I don't think it's for like strict price controls. But.
We do have a broken immigration system, and it needs to be fixed.
I mean, if they were at capacity, then immigrants really wouldn't be moving there, right? They're moving there for the job opportunities. Like the reason they're all moving to like Springfield is because Springfield has the like whatever meat packing plant, and all the immigrants go there for the unskilled, low-paying work, which they're the only people willing to do, really.
Months ago, some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress came together with others, proposed a border security bill.
Donald Trump shot it down.
Would have put 1,500 new border agents on the border to help those hardworking border agents who are there right now.
No, they moved there because is Springfield a sanctuary city even? The reason why a lot of immigrants are moving to places like Springfield is for the jobs there. I don't think it's because they're sanctuary cities.
Now, working around the clock. Would have put more money into stemming the flow of fentanyl, which is
I work at a
killing
chicken factory.
Americans around our country and devastating communities.
Statistically, immigrants are way, way more likely to be willing to work at like at a lot of labor-intensive, low-paying, unskilled labor jobs, right? Like this is just true.
Would have put more resources into our ability to prosecute transnational criminal organizations, which in my career I've prosecuted. Donald Trump got word of the bill, realized it was going to fix a problem he wanted to run on, and told them to kill the bill. Don't put it up for a vote. He killed.
Nothing unskilled about it. You don't need a college degree or anything to know how to pack meat.
The bill that would have actually been a solution because he wants to run.
That's what I mean by unskilled. I don't mean it's not hard or anything. I just mean you're unskilled if you lose a finger. I just mean it's what economists considered unskilled labor, where you don't need much formal education. Relatively little or no training experience for a satisfactory performance.
Problem. And that's part of what needs to be addressed. And my pledge is that when elected president, if the American people will have me, I will bring that bill back and I will sign it into law. And we need a comprehensive plan that includes what we need to do to fortify not only our border, but deal with the fact that we also need to create pathways for people to earn citizenship.
Then I want to just ask, because your opponent
there is
almost
no little
every
job.
day. Okay,
there's no such thing as a little job.
Okay, fair. Because your opponent almost every day seems to be talking about this. So I just want to ask you yes or no. At any point in your life, have you served 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, working at a McDonald's? Yes or no? That's it.
I have.
Okay. Now the other job. But
it was not a small job. Like I did the fries. I mean, yes,
okay, for a small period of time. But then let me ask about the big job.
But to your point, if you don't mind, before we get to the big job, there's a part of the reason I even talk about having worked at McDonald's is because there are people who work at McDonald's in our country who are trying to raise a family. I worked there as a student. I was a kid who worked there trying to raise families and pay rent on that. And I think part of the difference between me and my opponent includes our perspective.
What's up, Hope? Welcome back. She did work at McDonald's. Yeah, I don't know why anyone really thinks otherwise. I don't know. I don't think there's any evidence that she didn't. The only evidence she didn't is she didn't include it on her professional resume like 10 years later. Like, oh, really? I wonder why.
Of the American people. And what our responsibility then is to meet those needs.
Then to the big job.
Can we call on Discord in a
You
bit?
have laid out policy in great detail.
Yeah.
But the economy is an unpredictable beast. And you are running for a job that takes extraordinary instinct and guts.
Yeah.
What's the last time you had to make a gut decision? This here is very prescribed, very controlled.
Yeah. Probably the biggest gut decision I've made most recently is to choose my running mate. Yeah. There were lots of good, incredible candidates. And ultimately,
Roy Cooper robbed. Roy Cooper
down to a gut decision.
robbed.
I know I'm out
was
of time,
stolen.
and I just
She lies
wanna ask you a
constantly. What
question.
did she lie about here?
from my gut.
Okay.
Because today we're talking about we're talking about the economy.
Yeah.
And people don't think often about reproductive rights being an economic issue, but it is. A woman's ability to plan her future, her education, her life. Today, and in the
Donald
last
lies
few days,
more. Yeah, Donald lies
Donald
way
Trump
more.
keeps talking about it.
Donald Trump is talking about the immigrants eating cats and
Now, in
dogs.
overturning Roe v. Wade, he helped women.
Also, wait, did someone like host me or something? Because I have 12 concurrent viewers on Shorts, and that makes me think that someone might have hosted me, and they might have hosted the Shorts.
He protected women.
the
He said
short
they're
stream
miserable
instead
today.
of
They're
the
poorer today. They're more vulnerable today.
the horizontal
He said
stream.
He will be the protector of women if elected. Can you respond to that?
So Donald Trump is also the person who said women should be punished for exercising a decision that they rightly should be able to make about their own body and their future. So I think we would all agree that as a result of that
When did she lie about Willie Brown?
perspective that he has about
I don't
women,
think she's ever denied being in a relationship with Willie Brown.
he also then chose 3 members of the United States Supreme Court who did as he intended, undid the protections of Roe v. Wade, and now in state after state you see laws being passed that do punish women.
I don't know what Shapiro
Laws
would have done.
that-
She's lying now?
I mean, most recently a
I
heartbreaking
actually don't know what
story
she's talking about now. I've been talking to chat.
resulted in a young woman dying, a mother of a 6-year-old. Heart-wrenching stories. And that's
She
for
said
the
they
listener,
didn't
much
sleep
less-
together. I don't think she's ever denied being in a relationship with Willie Brown. If you can link something on that, then
So, look, I think the thing about Donald Trump is that, I don't think the women of America need him to say he's going to protect them. The women of America need him to trust them.
Can we trust you?
Yes. Yes. I am not perfect, but I will tell you, I'm always going to put the needs of the people first.
Madam Vice President, thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you.
wow, crazy. I feel like she probably could have had better answers prepared for some of those. God, I wish voter epistemology was better so she could drill down on the central bank stuff.